Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review of the new Edgar Wright film, The World's End. Okay, of course this is the third part of the Cornetto trilogy that he made, which the first two parts are, if you don't already know, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and The World's End is the third and final part of this trilogy. This of course stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Simon Pegg plays a character called Gary King, and Nick Frost plays a character called Andrew Knightley. Now, Gary King is a recovering alcoholic who remembers his days of childhood, of his childhood very, very fondly, and he specifically remembers going on a pub crawl around his town, where they visit 12 pubs and have a pint in each one, and the one time they did it in their youth, they didn't actually make it to the last pub, and he had a great time, and he's trying to relive his experience because his life isn't as fulfilling as he would have hoped it to be. Okay, so Simon Pegg's character decides that when they're all middle-aged people, they're going to all meet up again and going to go on this 12 pub crawl, just to see what it's like and have a good time, because he really wants just to meet back up with his friends and have a couple of pints and enjoy the banter and humour and see how everyone's going along. His friends are played by, of course, Nick Frost, Martin Freeman, Paddy Constantine and Eddie Marsan, all very, very, very well-known British actors. They've been in dramas before, they've also been in very good films. Paddy Constantine is actually a director, he directed the film Tyrannosaur. Eddie Marsan you might recognise from The Disappearance of Alice Creed, and Martin Freeman, of course, you know as Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit film. These five people go back to their little town of Newton Haven, where they plan on going on the pub crawl, except when they go back to Newton Haven, a lot of things have changed. The town isn't as what it used to be like, and odd things start happening. So they make it through the first 4 pubs or so, and they realise that the town's been plagued by these robots, and they decide the best thing to do is not to leave the town to cause suspicion, but to carry on going the Golden Mile and drinking in every single pub along the way. But the last pub is called The World's End, quite ironically, but that's part of why this film's quite funny. This film is of course a comedy film, which you'd expect from Edgar Wright and Sean Pegg and of course Nick Frost together. Hot Fuzz was a very, very funny British comedy about 2 policemen. I really enjoyed that. Shaun of the Dead I'm not too fond of. I really didn't understand why everyone liked Shaun of the Dead as much as people do. I do understand that I'm in the minority with this, but I do think it's incredibly overrated, and I did hear a lot about the film before watching it, and then was disappointed when I saw it, as I didn't find it funny, nor did I find it horrific, so I couldn't really class it as a comedy or a horror. Out of the two things, it's meant to be a comedy horror, but this is a sci-fi comedy, and yes, there are notions of science fiction within this, and yes, it is actually very funny. This is what confuses me with Shaun of the Dead, because it's the same writers, the same people in the cast, and I found Hot Fuzz and The World's End of equal funniness, and I find them very funny. So it's odd that I don't find Shaun of the Dead funny, but there we go. The humour in this film is actually very, very good. How can humour be good? It's incredibly subjective, so you may find it funny, you might not, but I did find it very funny. In this film there's a lot of physical gags and jokes. There's also more witty jokes, and then there's like dry lines of comedy which are kind of just flitted in through conversation, which aren't immensely laugh out loud funny, but they're quite humorous, and you begin to kind of recognise the kind of camaraderie between these 5 characters along the journey. Each individual character also has their own kind of style and how they live their life. Some of them are married, some of them are not, and some of them have different key goals. All of them have different jobs, different communities, but they're all kind of normal people, except for Gary, who is the outcast of the group. Only the outcast of the group because he hasn't changed at all since his time in secondary school. This is kind of like a coming-of-age story, even though he's like 40 or 30, I don't know how old he's meant to be, but it's like a coming-of-age story, which is quite interesting. The idea that a coming-of-age story about 5 teenagers works very well. The coming-of-age story about a man who is still in his mind a teenager but doesn't realise it is actually very interesting to let everything unravel. So yeah, I think the film was very very good. The story is very very easy to follow. 5 people going around 12 pubs and having a pint in each one. Different things happen in each things, and different stories unravel about the past and the lives of these characters, which is really interesting, and some very quite moving moments as well. You wouldn't expect it to be in this, but there's a couple of moments that come out really randomly, and it's actually quite effective and emotional, and there's a lot of character within each individual person. Yeah, that's my review of Edgar Wright's The World's End. It came out yesterday, Friday the 19th of the 7th, which is July. Which is July. I'm a bit tired. I give it an 8 out of 10. The first 20 minutes of the film are a bit slow and the jokes aren't very funny, but then after that the jokes keep coming and it's very fast paced and it doesn't feel forced at all. Feels very natural. So yeah, I highly recommend this film, and feel free to comment, rate and subscribe your opinions about this film, opinions about my review of this film, and opinions about any of the other thoughts I've had whilst reviewing this film. Okay, I've been Sam, thanks for watching, and I'm out.